Do you think this the Trump policy over Taiwan? Taiwan policy changed a lot since he picked up that phone with President Tsai.
Well, I think that, look, you saw what the Capitol Hill did in regards to supporting Taiwan, a couple of months ago. I think that the American people have a great kindred spirit with Taiwan. I think President Trump's been pretty adamant about that. I think Capitol Hill's been pretty adamant about that. I think we had a vote, it was like 97-0 on Capitol Hill. So I think that there's a great affinity for Taiwan and the Taiwanese people, and so I don't think there's been any noticeable change. I mean, obviously, we took the phone call from the president of Taiwan, and President Trump had a great chat with her, and obviously that set off alarms with the regime in Beijing. But I think President Trump worked through that, and I think we're in a good place.
Yeah. Do you think Taiwan it's in the fundamental interest of the United States, and do you think Taiwan or U.S. can give up Taiwan if China attack or China do something?
Look, I have said, and I said on my radio show in 2014, I think the real hot spot is the South China Sea. I think China's the regime's geopolitical expansion through One Belt, One Road, through other initiatives in the Maldives, the Seychelles, Djibouti, the building of these naval stations is another potential provocation. But I think the islands in the South China Sea, you need free navigation of the South China Sea to make sure that Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and also East Asia can continue to prosper, the Philippines. And so I think that is a fundamental thing. I believe that, the defense treaties we have with Taiwan and our relationship with Taiwan speaks for itself.
I actually want you to confirm or deny a rumor. Some Taiwanese reports said you wanted to go to Taiwan when you were in the White House. They denied your visa. Was that true?
No, I never. At the White House, the only time I traveled was with the president. I didn't do any independent travel and wasn't prepared to do any independent travel. So that rumor is nonsense.
How about after you left the White House?
I just haven't had time. I would eventually love to go to Taiwan. I have a great affinity. I spent time in Taiwan in the military. Was at Kaohsiung as the port city of Taipei. I've been to Taipei many times in business and when I was a naval officer, and have steamed in and out of Taiwan many times through Kaohsiung. I just have had time to go to Japan and one trip to Hong Kong and actually to Beijing to see Wang Quishang. But in the future, as I get time, particularly after this midterm election in November of 16, I hope next year after the European parliamentary elections that I'll be pretty engaged in, that in the summer of 19, they'll make an extended trip to Asia, Australia, Korea, Japan, and hopefully Taiwan.
Yeah. Two questions in one question. First, what President Trump's attitude towards Taiwanese independence, and what's yours?
Well, I think President Trump's been pretty open, pretty straightforward about that. I mean, I think the U.S. government policy is the U.S. government policy. I haven't seen it change, and I think you've seen these votes on Capitol Hill to really reaffirm that. I also think you see the upbeat tempo of naval operations in the East China Sea and the South China Sea. So I think it's quite different than the Obama administration. I think the Obama administration's pivot to Asia was really a marketing ploy. Although even the Obama administration understood the seriousness of the issues. The United States is a Pacific power. I would say that this century's the United States is a Pacific century for us. I left Virginia as a relatively young man to join the Pacific Fleet because I understood that so much of the future of the world and the future of the United States was going to be centered around Asia. That's the reason I wanted to join the Pacific Fleet. That's the reason I wanted to go to China. That's how I ended up as a young man in places like Hong Kong and Kaohsiung, and then later to come back and be an investor and work with people in Taiwan and in China and Shanghai, etc. So I think Taiwan is looked at as a close friend of the United States. I don't think there's been any official change in the policy, and I have always been a supporter. I had a great fondness for the Taiwanese people when I was in Taiwan.
Yeah. Here's the problem: is that China and the United States signed this communique in 1979, and it said, well, both both sides of the Taiwan Strait recognized there was only one China. United States endorsed that position. At many years later, 4 decades later, I think only 4% of Taiwanese people thought they were Chinese. And the majority of Taiwanese think they are Taiwanese if they seek for independence. So what do you think the United States should do?
Well, I don't think it's upon the United States. I think it's for the Taiwanese people, right? I think the self-determination of the Taiwanese people is with the Taiwanese people. And I think they've got to decide. We have treaties with them. We have understandings and arrangements with them. They have a lot of very vocal supporters here in the United States, particularly on Capitol Hill. But I don't think it's for the United States to get involved in the domestic politics of Taiwan and kind of determine what the Taiwanese people ultimately want to do. But the United States, I think, will always be considered a friend and an ally. And so I think it's, they talk about all types of potential invasions by China, all types of things. I think as long as, and I've told the Taiwanese I've met, as long as you're, on watch and on alert, I don't think you've got, as much to worry about as people think. But I think it's 100% for the Taiwanese leadership and the Taiwanese people to decide.
Thank you.
Hui